It's time once again to slip into your camo, grab your bow, and join us out in the field for another episode of the Up North Journal, presented by PSE Archery. The Up North Journal crew is knocked and ready to rock for another exciting adventure. So let's step outside and hit the trail.
This episode of the Up North Journal podcast is brought to you by PSE Archery,
Black Eagle Arrows,
Scent Blocker,
Killer Food Plots,
Cabela's,
Spot Shooters,
Antler Action,
Family Traditions Tree Stands,
Tom's Custom Turkey Calls,
and Badass Slingshots.
Welcome back to another episode of the Up North Journal podcast, everybody. I'm host Mike Adams, sitting in the cabin this Sunday afternoon.
Welcome.
What's going on?
Welcome.
It's afternoon.
It's daylight savings time.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
You lost an hour of sleep last night.
Yes, I did. You know what else I lost? I lost my coffee. Dan didn't make coffee today, so I had to make my own. I don't know what's up with that. Why did you not make me coffee?
Because we were a little bit pressed for time to get here because...
or bring me coffee.
Well, it wasn't our typical weekend.
No, we were busy.
We've been busy the last 2 days. We were at the Cabela's Spring Classic.
Spring Turkey Classic.
Absolutely. Spent our day out at... last 2 days out at Saginaw.
And then last night, I went to the SCI banquet in Flint, Michigan.
Right, and we had an excellent seminar today.
It's been good.
Yeah, it was a good weekend.
It's been rocking.
So now we quickly rush back here to live stream the beginning of the show and the end of the show.
That's right. And for those of you listening to the podcast, this isn't going to mean a whole lot to you because you're going to get to hear the middle of the show. But for those on the live stream, if you want to be able to hear the middle of the show, check out the podcast tomorrow morning when we get this thing posted, or either late tonight. We've got a great interview with Lincoln Rohn.
Lincoln Rohn of Michigan's Let 'em Go and Let 'em Grow. They're talking APRs in this state.
Yep.
And the big push to get something done by the DNR this year for APRs, because if it doesn't happen, there's going to be a 3-year moratorium
changing
doing
things.
anything.
So, right. And we should know something here pretty soon.
Right, exactly. We should know something by June.
Yeah.
The big push is up till May.
Right on.
So, it's one of those things that it's been talked about a lot in the state, and Lincoln Rohn and company have been out there really pushing it and seeing what's happening. Right. Absolutely.
Well, I'll tell you what. Do you want to go ahead and get right to the interview?
Let's do it.
Well, Dan, tonight we got a special guest on board, somebody you've been talking to a little bit on Facebook.
Yeah, I kind of picked him up on Facebook. Number one is because he's in Michigan, and he actually started this. We have on the phone with us the founder of Michigan's Let 'em Go and Let 'em Grow movement, right? Lincoln Rohn.
Hey, Lincoln, you with us?
Yes, I am.
Hey, good to have you on tonight.
Good evening, guys. Thanks for having me.
Hey, not a problem. When it comes to deer hunting and in the state of Michigan, anything that we can talk to somebody about and gain some knowledge, we're all about it.
Yeah, we're all about it, and it's just our way of helping kind of spread the education.
Yeah, absolutely. So
yeah, yep, definitely. Me too.
Well,
so yeah, the group name is the actual technical name is Michigan Deer Hunters. Let 'em Go and Let 'em Grow.
Okay, and that's the you're on Facebook. That's kind of where Dan met you, right? Okay. Now,
yep. It's an actual closed closed Facebook group. Mm-hmm. So you don't go and just like the page. You have to apply to be accepted into the group, and then we would obviously go through and make sure you're from Michigan, that you are actually a deer hunter, and that
that you're not a tree hugger.
Right. That you're not an anti-hunter, because we get a lot of those, and then we would accept you into the group, and then hopefully start educating you from there. We have a pretty strong mission statement, mission objective that we refer people to, new members to, that they can read through, and if they have any questions, then they would obviously ask them at that point.
Right on.
And it's open forum, so people can freely post, and obviously, as we have administrators and moderators that keep tabs on things, but
make you behave a little bit.
Yeah. Yep.
Because everybody's passionate about this.
You got women and children on there too, so we like to run a pretty clean ship. So.
Well, right. But and truthfully speaking, like we said, everybody is passionate about deer hunting. No matter what side of the fence you're on, if you're a deer hunter, you got opinions, whether you're on one side of the fence, like I said, or the other, or whether you got bad information or good information, you really adhere to those things, and that's kind of why we got you on tonight. We want to talk about some of those things. Maybe
absolutely
fact, fiction, this, that, and the other. But I want to step back just a little bit. Why did you form this group? How did you come about with this group, and what was the push behind it?
Well, we struggled. We started doing, our own form of QDMA about 15 years ago on our property in Northwest Newaygo. Started passing up young bucks.
Okay.
And basically our property rule when we started was 3 points on the side.
Okay.
The kids, as my sons and nephews were coming up, they could start out. They were allowed to shoot their first buck, whatever they wanted. It was their choice. And then after that, then we held them to the 3 on the side standard. And
okay.
So as we're going through, we're struggling. We've got clubs around us. We've got state land on one side, and of course they figured out what we were doing, and of course then we've got the fence sitters.
Mm-hmm.
And we were just really struggling getting bucks, to 2 and 3 years old, and basically that's our goal is to shoot 3-year-olds. We've kind of upped our game a little bit along the way, as most guys do, and so anyway, I started hearing about the push for the Northwest 12 antler point restriction. I'd done some research prior to that, but as far as what it would take, to get some sort of a statewide program going, and I heard about the Northwest 12, so I went up to a meeting up to their Cadillac meeting. They had the public informational meetings, and started asking a bunch of questions. How did you guys start this? What system or program do you have to go through? Well, then that's when I met Tony Smith, pretty familiar name around for deer hunting in Michigan. Tony and I kind of joined forces up there, and that's when I made the Facebook page or the Facebook group at that point, just strictly to start getting support to make a run for antler point restrictions, and that was the sole purpose. And so then at that point, the Lower Peninsula Deer Management Initiative was kind of formed, and I was on the board for that with Tony and among many others. And we had meeting upon meeting upon meeting with the DNR, trying to come up with a strategy for the next push for not specifically antler point restrictions at that point, because we were still researching different options as to what they would accept and what was the best option for what we felt was our best option. So we researched one buck rule with them, and one buck rule does not protect enough 1.5-year-olds. According to check station data, we did all the calculations, and it only protected 40-some% of the yearlings, if that. And the requirement to enact a one buck rule would require legislation through the legislature. It would take money, right out of the DNR's pocket, from the combination tag. It would. There's a federal program. It's called the Robertson-Pittman Act that the DNR actually gets money from as far as for license sales. So it would cost them federal money. It costs them license sales from the combo tag, plus the entire funding package for the DNR would have to be restructured. So didn't feel that number one, it would take legislation. So we were just like, okay, we're not going to do that. So, and it's not going to give us the results we're looking for anyway. So we moved on to looking at the hunter's choice regulation, which is now enacted up in the TB zone. And we went through all of that. Well, again, it does not protect enough of the 1.5-year-olds. The hunter's choice is if you buy a single tag and you shoot whatever you want. If you buy the combo tag, you're restricted to 3 on the side for your first tag and 4 on the side for your second tag.
Right.
And it's just not an effective program. You're penalizing guys for buying 2 tags, the way they see it anyway. So the guy that really wants to, have practice antler point restrictions and pass younger deer, well, you still have the guys that are out there buying 1 tag that will, that continue to shoot the young bucks that they're passing. So and it's really not been effective at all in the UP or in the TB zone. So anyway, we researched all of that with the DNR, and we decided that a straight antler point restriction would be in our best interest. since then, we've been even more reinforced on the fact that it's in our best interest because of the success that they have had in the Northwest 12. We have, the data from the Northwest 12 has just been absolutely mind-blowing. And I'm a kind of guy, okay, I can look at the data and the numbers, and they're all, according to the numbers, it's been extremely successful. So I wanted to get firsthand. Well, our property is up in Newaggle, so, we went up to the Baldwin Check Station for a few days. We went to the M37 Meat Shack for a few days. And we just talked to some hunters in Lake County, a lot of hunters. Mm-hmm. And I'm telling you, those guys are, and then I'd introduced myself, and it's almost become uncanny how many people know about my group and me, and they're just like begging me, please don't let them take this from us. This is the best thing that's ever happened to our deer hunting up here. And, there's actually excitement. These guys are just wholeheartedly excited about the number one, the number of bucks they're seeing. Number two, the quality of bucks they're seeing. Not only, that they're seeing with their own eyes, but the trail camera pictures that they're getting are just incredible. Mm-hmm. And, we're talking Lake County, the spike horn capital of the world, it's just been, that's another reason why I kind of keyed in on Lake County, is because I've hunted up there for 40 years, right, just south of it, and I know the area, and right, it's, you'd see in the 80s, you'd see 100 does, you'd see one spike horn, if the Lord was willing to, kind enough to bring them past you.
Right.
Oh, yeah. You didn't see a lot of bucks.
Well, are you seeing that same reaction out of private landowners as well as public land hunters?
Both, yeah.
Both,
and
okay.
I've actually had a couple guys at the meat shack that were strictly public land hunters up mm-hmm. there, and they were absolutely blown away. They said in years past you couldn't do. To me, public land hunters should be the ones that are most excited about this, because they have no means of doing any sort of deer management, right, as far as quality.
Right.
They pass a buck up. Well, guess what? It's pretty good chance it's not going to make it to its second birthday.
Right.
Whereas with antler point restrictions, they can pass a really nice big 4-point, and they know it's going to be there next year because nobody else can shoot them either.
Right. Right on.
And and they're seeing results big time. And I had a friend of mine that went up there to hunt this year. He took his dad up there, and I know they hunted in Lake County. I'm not exactly sure where. They both shot 2 of the biggest bucks they've ever killed in Michigan on state land. We're talking, 17, 18-inch 8-points, which, okay, you know what? That's a solid Michigan whitetail.
Yep, absolutely.
And, we're not doing this to, obviously with an antler point restriction, you're going to see more and bigger bucks, but we're not doing this to shoot booners. Mm-hmm. Will it produce booners? Probably down the line somewhere. You'll start, it's just because of the way it works.
Right.
You start advancing deer through an age class, you're gonna have some, more, really big bucks. But mm-hmm. that's not why we're doing this. We're doing this because guys want to start shooting better bucks.
Right.
Plain and simple.
Right. Well, I tell you what, we're bumping up on our first break here. Let's step outside and take our first break. When we come back, I kind of want to shift gears just a little bit. We've talked about why you started this group, what it does.
Yep.
But, there's always a group out there that always says, all you're wanting to do is shoot big bucks. It's all about trophy animals. Right. Let's talk a little bit about the science behind it, what you've learned about herd management and how that's helping the deer herd here in Michigan. So, we'll step outside and we'll be right back after this.
PSE Archery has always dominated the speed category. Now, the most revolutionary cam system ever to hit the market has perfected the shooting experience. Introducing PSE's Evolve Cam System, featuring extremely high let-off capabilities and the smoothest draw cycle in history. No other cam system has ever delivered this level of total comfort and total control. Experience PSE. Experience performance.
Throughout human history, one notorious killer has remained at the top and claimed more lives than any war or natural disaster combined. Mosquitoes. It's time to arm yourself and protect your family this season. with Scent Blocker's new Bug Blocker for insects. Lasting up to 8 hours, Bug Blocker not only repels biting mosquitoes that can carry the West Nile virus, but other biting insects, including chiggers, biting flies, gnats, and ticks which can carry Lyme disease. Field tested by outfitters and guides from Alaska to Alabama and everywhere in between. The results are in, and Bug Blocker flat out works. In a high-potency sportsman strength dosage, using 25% no-nonsense DEET, plus 2 specific ingredients to target biting flies, Bug Blocker plays for keeps. For ultimate protection, pair Bug Blocker insects with Bug Blocker ticks.
Welcome back. Just out of the break, everybody. Talking with Lincoln Rohn from Michigan Deer Hunters. Let them grow, let them go, and let them grow.
Say that 10 times.
Yeah,
fast.
I'm having a hard time. I need some more coffee. You know, looking at your Facebook page, you've got over 21,000 members. That's incredible.
Yes.
You know, to have a Facebook page specific to Michigan, specific to deer hunting, specific to APRs. You know, that says a lot about your group.
Yeah, and you know, it's not just a group either. I do like to mention this. It's not just a page that you go and like. It is a specific Facebook group that you have to join, and we have to, you know, do our vetting process, and we have to accept you into the group. So
right on.
You know, it's not just hey, I think that's pretty cool. It's like that. You know, you're joining a group. So
and it's a group made for discussion. Yeah, a movement. Yeah, exactly. You know, and
this is about as grassroots as you can get right here.
Well, a lot of the things we hear, you know, especially when I first started really putting my ear to the grindstone and listening. You know, it was Dr. James Kroll about 4 or 5 years ago. I was fortunate enough to be a part of one of the deer necropsies, actually 3 of them, and I learned a lot. And you know, in looking at what you guys are doing up there over on the west side of the state, you know, talk a little bit about this. You know, people always say, "Oh, you're just about hunting trophy bucks." There's so much more to what's going on than shooting big bucks.
Yep.
Big bucks is a byproduct of the program and herd health, herd maintenance, and management. Talk a little bit about that, if you could.
Sure. Well, you know, we obviously we do get a lot of that. You know, you guys are trophy hunters. Well, okay. It depends on what's your description of a trophy hunter. Well, with antler point restrictions, okay, so zone 2, it would be a 3-point on one side restriction for your first tag, a 4 on a side for your second tag, which the 4 on a side is that's no change. So basically, we're asking you to pass up spikes and 4 points. Now, that in no way is a trophy management program.
Right.
If it was a trophy program, we'd be asking you to pass up 4-year-olds.
Right.
By moving, if you take. And I don't have my numbers right in front of me, but if you take roughly 125,000 year and a half old bucks, and they make it to 2 years old, and those are about rough. Those in the first year of APRs statewide, that's approximately what would happen. They have about 125,000 bucks going to their second birthday.
Okay.
Well, all of a sudden, you've instantly more than doubled the number of bucks that you have in the state, because number one, you're going to take 125,000 year and a half olds, move them to 2, plus you're going to have a whole new crop of year and a half olds moving right in behind them. Plus you have the 2 and 3 year olds that are still in the state.
Right.
So you've all of a sudden you've increased your number of bucks by 311,000 bucks roughly, in going into your second year. And it's definitely not a trophy program, but let's face it. You know, the night before gun season or bow season, you know, I'm not sitting in my bed tossing and turning thinking of the spike horn walking out. Nobody does that.
Right.
And if you tell me you do, then you're lying. And you're dreaming about the big old mossy horn coming up out of the swamp, and you know, and smoking him. And you know, so is it a trophy program? No. Is the byproduct of what we're doing bigger bucks? Yes. It's bigger bucks. It's more bucks. It's a better quality herd. Your rut is going to be more intense. It's going to be shorter, which is better for your deer herd, because you don't want bucks running all over the freaking place, you know, for 3 months.
Bingo.
it wears them out. That's that's what they're there for. They're there to carry on.
It's very important that you bring that up. We had this discussion this year at my camp. We had some people in that were asking about this, and it's very important for people, I think, in Michigan to understand. They think to the rut, okay, a buck's chasing a doe. They're going to breed, right around gun season, between gun season and December. And what they don't realize is when you don't have enough bucks to breed all these does, or you don't keep your does in check, those bucks are breeding first cycle. Well, if the does don't get bred, they go to second cycle and even go to a third cycle. And the buck never has time to recover.
Yeah, and at this last necropsy that I was at on Turtle Lake, one of the coolest things that I learned while I was there was, by measuring the fetus of the does that were harvested, they knew exactly what the date was when those does were bred.
Yep.
To the day.
Yep.
And what they found was there was a lot of them that were bred the first of November, while there was also some that were just bred in probably in late December, which is not a good thing. And they were and that's another key that they realized. Okay, we have too many does, and it was pretty cool when somebody asked the property manager, how many deer do you have in Turtle Lake? He said, I don't know. He said, well, what do you mean you don't know? He said, I have no idea. He said, I don't need to know. He goes, everything that we're learning right here on this table is telling me what I need to know.
Yep.
We have too many does.
Right.
So, you with more and old, you have a more diverse age class of bucks, and and it's just a better hunt. I mean, you're talking about an intense rut, and it's going to be short, and it's going to be, you're going to have bucks responding to grunt calls and rattling, and it's, and you know what? There's something to be said. This year, I'm sitting there in mid December, and I had 7 young bucks in my food plot in Nuevo County at the same time. And some of my best hunts this year, I never released an arrow, never shot a bullet.
Absolutely.
I mean, I absolutely enjoyed. I had a big 6-point, a big 2-year-old 6-point, and a bunch of yearlings that are. I'm thinking that this is Nuevo County, and I have 7 bucks under me, and those bucks are going to be there next year.
Absolutely.
And we're not even in the APR zone. We're doing it on our own.
Right.
And if we can have that kind of success on 160 acres in Nuevo County, just imagine what doing this statewide is going to do.
Yeah.
Talking
about
it's
statewide,
going to continue to get better.
Is that the direction? I mean, obviously that's what your group wants to see, and people who are of that whole mindset, talking about quality management of a deer herd statewide. Are we close to seeing this happen statewide, in your opinion?
Well, I think a lot of it is riding on what happens with the Northwest 12. They are surveying the Northwest 12 early at our request, at the initiators of the Northwest 12 request, because of the 3-year regulation cycle.
Okay.
2017 is the year for regulation changes. If we don't get it this year, it's going to be 2020 before it would be considered again.
Okay.
And I'm here to tell you, the time is short, and we are at a crossroads right now in Michigan deer hunting. We're either going to make the necessary changes to save our sport in this state, or we're going to continue to lose hunters by the thousand. And we already, this past year, we're down to 608,000 hunters from, and if we, with this downward trend, I don't remember the exact, I think it was by 2020, we were going to be down in the 300s. 2025 is down in the 300s, which Michigan can't sustain, anything with 300,000 hunters. Can't do it.
Well, looking at that as well as what's happened here recently with the CWD, does that all play together?
Well, with what we've learned up at Turtle Lake, you can definitely manage for older age class bucks and have a very effective disease control program as well. some of that information has yet to come out, and we're working on that. But we did a poll on our page, and the statewide average for doe harvest is the average hunter. There's 0.7 does shot per buck.
Okay.
And the members on our page, we did a poll, shot 1.4 does per buck.
Mm-hmm.
And that is pivotal in disease control, because what you're going to have is you're going to start. One of the keys to controlling the disease is to roll your deer herd over every 3 years, which means your does. You're not going to have any does in your herd that are, certainly not past 4 years old if you can help it.
Right.
But you're going to continuously roll those does over, so you're not going to have that in turn that keeps your prevalence rates low. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Well, we were talking with Tony Smith a couple of weeks ago when he was talking about the doe harvest, and like what you're talking about when you were at Turtle Lake, when they said what we see on the table tells me everything I need to know of how many deer we need to harvest or does. But Tony said that there should be a bell curve, and if you're hitting that 3.5-year-old mark, which coincides with what you're saying. Then if you're above that, then you're not harvesting enough does. If your bell curve on your average age doe harvest is less than 3.5, if you're more towards 2.5, then you're over harvesting. So he said you want to try to keep in that 3.5-year-old range. That goes with what you're saying, right?
Yeah. Yep. Exactly what I'm saying.
Okay.
Yep. And by keeping your overall population. Back in the 80s when we used to see 100 deer a day, that's not a good thing.
No,
that is a terrible thing, and you don't do anybody any good. You're not doing your habitat any good. You're not doing your deer any good. It's just bad. And by and large, the guys in almost by default, when you put an antler point restriction in place, you almost automatically put more pressure on your does.
Mm-hmm.
And some people see that as a good thing, some people see it as a bad thing, but we know for a fact that is a good thing.
Well, I think that's the important thing to get out is the information on the doe harvest. I mean, we see this with the older generation. We see it at our camp. I see it with my own dad.
Sure.
You don't shoot the does because that's next year's buck. We've heard that for years and years and years. And now that's why it's so important to get this science out and really get people to understand what's going on with that. So changing those mindsets.
Michigan hunters really need to get out of the mindset as I got my buck. Well, listen, guys, it's not difficult to shoot a buck in Michigan. Okay, I mean, you think about this. We have very liberal seasons. We have all the technology in the world. We have trail cameras and rangefinders and high power rifles and shotguns that you can shoot 250 yards with, muzzle loaders that you can shoot 250 yards with, scent lock, ozone. I mean, you name it. The deer doesn't have a freaking chance.
Right.
And we need to start protecting some of these young bucks and let them get to their second birthday, and the rest will take care of itself. It really will. Guys just really need to get out of that my buck mindset and go to the selective harvest mindset. Let's be choosy about what we're going to shoot. Yeah. And if I really, really need some meat for my table, let's go ahead and if our herd can substantiate it, let's go ahead and shoot some does. I don't want to automatically say, well, if you need meat, shoot a doe, because not all areas,
can support that.
Right, exactly. So if let's take pressure off of the young bucks, and if it makes sense in your area and you have enough doe population, let's go ahead and shoot some does. My dad, I was raised through, the last 40 years. If you saw a buck, you shot it. And my dad, I think it was 2 years ago, finally shot his first doe.
It takes a while. My dad still won't shoot a doe. He's very uneasy about it.
But now he understands, and it's taken a while, but and he understands. Well, now he's starting to reap the benefits. He owns the property; it's his property. He can do what he wants.
Right.
He's asked me to manage the property, but he owns it. So if he wants to, bottom line is, if he wants to shoot a small buck, he can. But the thing is now he's starting to see the benefits, and guess what? This year he shot a 126-inch 8-point in Nuevo County. It's the biggest buck he's ever killed. And he's 73 years old.
And you posted a video of that, I do believe, and he was elated.
You saw that?
Yes, I did. I saw that.
Now tell me, if that was a spike horn or a 4-point, what do you think that video would look like? Number one, I probably wouldn't have taken it.
I was going to say.
You wouldn't have videotaped, right?
Yeah, you wouldn't have. It wouldn't have.
I mean, you just look at the sheer excitement on his face and my face, and I was able to share that with my father. And it was. And again, I did not shoot a buck in Michigan this year for the first time since 1989. And I tell you what, this is one of the best years I've ever had.
There you go.
It's not always about what you bring home. There's memories out there that just go far beyond. And you talk about shooting does. Yep. We made that choice this year that we were gonna. Our target. We've got 640 acres we hunt, and we're targeting 25 deer or 25 does, and that was hard. That was hard to do for some people, but we shot 23, shot one buck. And that was it. And there's some other landowners around us who are like, hey, what are you guys doing? And it's like, look, nobody else around us is doing this. Of all the other camps, we've got this co-op going. We've just kind of started trying to get it up off the ground, but there was, I think, only 2 or 3 other doe shot on surrounding properties.
That's it?
Yeah, that was it, in $3, and it's just like, guys, we're doing the grunt share of the work, we've got to have other people help out, because we take them out, what happens? More fill back in from the surrounding properties. Right. So,
exactly. We had the same situation a few years ago. We ended up shooting 13 does. We had 5-acre turnip field that had, it was one of the most pristine looking turnip fields you've ever seen in your life. Mm-hmm. Knee deep turnips, bulbs the size of softballs and bigger. And by the end of November, it was decimated. Mm-hmm. And I just went, we have too many freaking does. This is insane.
Yeah.
And we've actually had to go, and we have to put electric fences, dual perimeter electric fences.
Yep.
Around our fields to protect them long enough so that they can get established before the deer destroy them.
Yeah.
And, we shot 13 does that year, and our neighbor was not a happy camper.
Yeah.
But we did it, and the next year we shot, I think, 6. Mm-hmm. And then the year after that we shot 5, and then this past year we shot 5. So it's not like you're going to, we're not going to absolutely put the hammer down on every single year, but, you do have to use your head in doe management.
Yeah, well,
but it needs to be done.
We seen our numbers anywhere from 2.5-year-old up, nothing below 2.5. Everything was 2.5-year-old and older, and we had one that was 8 and one that was 10 years old. And it's like, really?
Yeah.
We have a severe problem.
Yeah, that's the problem.
So,
well, you're gonna. The other thing that's going to happen with antler point restrictions, and I want to touch on real quick is okay. I'm just going to use this as an example. Well, this year I had, we're not even in the APR zone, but this is going to happen in the APR zone. It's happening in the APR zone. Is all of a sudden you got guys starting to see these bucks on trail camera. They're seeing them. I passed up a absolutely gorgeous 2-year-old this year. Called him Cactus Jack. He had just a mess on one side and a beautiful 4-point frame on the other side, and it was the coolest buck ever. And I passed him up 3 times this year because we had a 140-inch 9-point. We had this 126-inch buck that my dad shot. We had another 125-inch buck that my nephew shot. We had all these bucks. Well, why would I shoot this other deer? Mm-hmm. He would have been APR legal, and he was legal according to our, property rules. He was a 2-year-old, and he had 3 on one side. That's our goal. Mm-hmm. And obviously mine are, a little bit more than that, but for our property, that's for the young guys, for everybody. It's 2 years old, 3 on the side.
Okay, so you're throwing in as well the age class as well as the APR at your place.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep. And that's on our property. But the exact same thing is happening in the Northwest 12. And if you look at this harvest data, you can see it, because all of a sudden you've got these counties that were shooting 30% after APRs were in. Before APRs, they were shooting 70 to 80% of their yearling bucks. Mm-hmm. Okay. So after antler point restrictions, that drops down to about 30%. Okay, mm-hmm. Pretty much through roughly right in that area through those 12 counties. Well, all of a sudden, the 4th year now, we have several counties that are down to 9%, 12, 14%, and then all of a sudden they're shooting more 3-year-olds than they are 2-year-olds and year-and-a-half-olds.
You're seeing the switch over for them self-managing and shooting older bucks. Correct.
Right. So guys are clearly passing up APR legal bucks.
Right.
Only because it's once these guys start to pass bucks, it happened just like this for me. I passed my first buck up, and all of a sudden it just got easier. Mm-hmm. And then you start seeing the benefits of it, and it gets easier and easier. And every hunter goes through this. Yep. Okay, every hunter goes through this progression. However, antler point restrictions kind of speeds that progression up a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of my mindset. The way I've done things in the last couple of years, it's 2.5 now. This last 2 years, I've been hunting, 3.5, 4.5-year-old bucks. That's right. Kind of been my mindset and what I've pushed towards. So yeah, I understand exactly what you're talking about. It's a progression. Yep. So
and in this, we're, like I said, we're kind of at a tipping point here with the state, and I've got a lease in Illinois. We hunt in Iowa. We've hunted Ohio for many years. Why does a guy that has access, my family owns 160 acres in Nuevo County, why do I have to go lease property in Illinois?
Absolutely.
Makes no sense.
Absolutely. Well,
and one other thing that I want to touch on, too, is the youth, okay? Mm-hmm. The average, let's talk about who's going to be buying tags for the next 40 years, and it's the guys that are in their 20s to 30 years old, and I think it was, and again, we did a poll of our group age, and the highest percentage of members was from 25 to 35 years old. Mm-hmm. Those are the guys that we need to start managing our deer herd tours. Those are the guys that want antler point restrictions, and they're the ones that are going to be buying tags for the next 30, 40 years.
Right. Well, and I think
I'm down here. I'm 47 years old. Okay, if I shoot, if I hunt for another 20 years, I'm going to be extremely fortunate.
Right. Right.
Well, and that's we need to start, getting a better product for these guys that are wanting it. My sons and my nephews, for instance, my nephews went to college, so they didn't get a lot of time to hunt for the last 4 years. Mm-hmm. Well, now they're both Grand Rapids Police Department police officers.
So they really don't have a lot of time.
And now guess where they hunted the first week of November this year? Not on our property in Nuevo. They drove to freaking Missouri and hunted in Missouri
because that's where the big bucks are. Yeah.
Under antler point restrictions in Missouri.
You got limited time off to
the
go.
Northwest 12. However, and they're in the same mindset I am of those guys is, everybody says, well, you guys are 8 miles south. Why don't you drive up there and hunt? Mm-hmm. You know what? Because I don't want to wreck their hunting. That's you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. I mean, we're going to naturally have some guys go up there, but to me, I don't want to, I don't want to infringe on those guys. They worked hard to get this in place.
Right.
And in reality, we should have this statewide. It really should be. And everybody should be reaping the benefits of what's going on up there.
Well, you talk about the younger people coming up behind us. They're more in tune with technology. They're more in tune with the science behind what's going on. They're savvy that way. So they're buying into this.
They're in the information highway. These guys are, these people are, and we're seeing a lot of females coming in.
Absolutely.
And I love that. I'm here to tell you, we gave a shoulder mount away for the youth hunt last year, and we had 17 boys submit pictures. We had 16 girls submit pictures.
There you go.
I mean, I was absolutely doing backflips. I was so excited about that, and they were raised in the green generation. They want to be part of the solution, not a part of the problem.
Absolutely. Well, I tell you what, we're bumping up on time here. We'll take another break and come back. Mm-hmm. I want to shift gears just a little bit, but sure. We'll delve into this a little deeper here when we come back. We're going to be right back after this.
So what do you do when you've completely redefined the way bows are engineered? When you've reached the pinnacle and the band starts playing your victory song, you start a revolution out of thin air. Introducing the all-new PSE Carbon Air, engineered with true carbon technology to be the lightest high-performance bow in the world. Experience PSE. Experience performance.
Killer Food Plots have been helping property owners for over 20 years create premier whitetail habitat. Whether replenishing your soil with their all-natural Organics Fusion pellets or planting a premier KFP food plot seed blend to help your deer rebuild their bodies through spring and summer while supplying the much-needed high energy during and after the rut, you can trust that Killer Food Plots family and their products will help your deer achieve their full potential.
Welcome back. Man, this has been incredible, man.
Knowledge-based.
It's been a knowledge-based, fun-filled, scientific evening of technology, the whole 9 yards, and talking about deer hunting.
Absolutely.
Right on.
But, we talked about your website. We talked about, the science behind it. We talked about, your point of view on things and what's going on in the state, where we want to see things going. But you've actually got an event coming up that we kind of want to wrap the show up with and let everybody know that you've got an event coming, and how can people here in Michigan, what's it about, what's going to be there, what's it going to cost them, and where can they find out information?
Okay, well, it is our second annual Michigan Deer Hunters Let 'em Go, Let 'em Grow Whitetail Summit. We call it a summit because it's not just a QDMA banquet, or we're really trying to advance this whole movement and bring our members together and have information packed speakers. Last year, huge success. We had 250 people at the event. We had members from the DNR, heads of the DNR. We had a sitting NRC commissioner there. We had it was a great night, and we gave away. I mean, I can't even believe how many things were donated for the event from many Michigan-based businesses. We had vendor tables. We had 10 vendors on hand, all Michigan-based companies, and we're having that again this year. We did a raffle, a drawing for any military, police, fire, first responder in attendance. I brought them up on stage, and we had them introduce themselves, and we did a drawing for muzzleloader for them. We did the same thing for youth. So any youth that was in attendance, they had an opportunity to win a muzzleloader package, not just a muzzleloader, but a complete package, everything that you needed to go out and hunt. And every single youth that was in attendance walked out of there with something, whether it be a tent blind or, a bow hook, a really nice bow hook from hawk hunting. And it was just a great event. We had keynote speakers. We had Jim Brocker. Dr. Brocker is pivotal in our group. He's our science guy. We bank on him for a lot of our data and our information, and I'm the sales guy of the group, so I can take it from there. And so he spoke, and we had Anna Mittering from she's the co-op coordinator. She spoke on QDMA co-ops, and we had Jake Ellinger spoke on habitat enhancements, and we had Nick from Killer Food Plots spoke on food plots. And so it was the initial speaker was all about APRs and why we do what we do, and then the rest of it was about making the state better. And when you stop and think about 21,000 people in this group dedicated to not only trying to better our deer herd, but I'm here to tell you this group has morphed into educating people on habitat enhancements, on food plotting, on herd health and herd management. And I'm really proud of that fact, that it's not just about antler point restrictions anymore. I mean, that's our mission objective. That's our goal, but it's so much more than that. So anyway, so this year on April 8th, we have our second annual summit, and it's in Mount Pleasant at Bucks Run Golf Course. And ticket information, if you go to Eventbrite website and you punch in Michigan Deer Hunters Let 'em Go, Let 'em Grow, it'll bring you right to our link to purchase tickets. Single tickets are $50 to the event, couples tickets are $90, and youth tickets are $25. our keynote speakers this year, we have Dr. Brocker is going to be speaking again on APRs and various benefits, successes. And then we also have a nationally known, renowned speaker from QDMA, Kip Adams, has blessed us with his presence at our
awesome
event this year.
That is awesome.
I mean,
to have him there.
I'm so excited about that. That guy he's just a great speaker, and I listened to his State of the Whitetail address, and he is captivating, and he's so knowledgeable about so many different things. So really excited about that. We're going to do another military giveaway. We're going to do another youth giveaway. We've got some things, some opportunities to win some things, door prizes, and we're going to have a couple of raffles. It's just going to be another great night. And absolutely beautiful meal planned for the evening. We've got 10 vendors, all Michigan-based vendors, hunting obviously related, from taxidermists to scent to minerals to food plot seed. Just going to be a great night.
Is there limited seating? I mean, do you have a certain amount of tickets that you have available?
There is limited seating. That was my next plug. Is you've got we have room for 250 again.
Okay.
And I believe that we are down to about 100 seats remaining. So
okay. Get them now.
Don't wait,
yeah,
because it's coming up, and once they're gone, they're gone. So
right on. Okay. Yeah, it sounds to me like it's you cover everything from A to Z. As far as how the APRs, all the way to food plots to the science behind it. Like you said, it's the whole 9 yards. So
it is.
It sounds like an event to be
the
at.
whole 9 yards.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you what.
And that's where our moving forward. That's where we will go. If we say we do, are successful in getting the antler point restrictions this year, which we're very hopeful, we're very close. Then we continue to educate people.
Right.
So.
Now, looking ahead, is there going to be any other events after this that somebody might be able to attend?
From our group, we're looking at a lot of different options as far as habitat days and food plot days, and we definitely are going to be moving in that direction. But over the next few months, everything that I have is going into the antler point restrictions, because I'm telling you, if we don't get it by 2017, it's going to be another 3 years. So I'm full bore. I'm full steam. I'm not letting up. I've been doing this a long time, and I'm highly motivated. So
right, and they're going to make those recommendations in June, right?
Yes, sir. Well, they would be May is the big
May
date.
May is when they put it out, and then June is when they approve or make the changes.
Yep.
Sounds to me like he's mashing the gas, Danny.
He is. He's stomping on the gas.
Oh yeah, the gas has been pressed to the floor, and it's going to stay there.
All right.
For the next 3 months, so 2 months.
All right. Well, everybody that's listening, you've got the information to where to go for this event. You've heard him talk about this. Go over to the Facebook page, and click on there, get vetted, be a part of this page. That way, the information's there for you. Become part of the discussion. If you care about the outdoors and the animals, it's a good thing. It's not all about trophy hunting and hunting antlers. It's
about a healthy herd.
It's about a healthy herd, absolutely. And it's about the next generation coming up. So,
and we've talked with Nick Percy about a healthy herd.
Absolutely. So, Lincoln, it's been a pleasure having you on tonight. Thank you for sitting down, taking a part of your Sunday evening out, and hanging with us here on the show. And can't wait to talk to you again.
Absolutely.
All right.
Anytime, and I appreciate you guys having me. Really do.
All right. Well, we'll catch up with you again here real soon.
Sounds good.
I shoot PSE because I like one pin to 40 yards.
I shoot PSE for the perfect combination of feel and performance.
I shoot PSE because you can shoot lighter poundage and increase arrow speed.
I shoot PSE for the fastest bows on the planet.
I shoot PSE because my livelihood depends on my bow.
I shoot PSE because better engineering makes a better bow.
I shoot PSE.
I shoot PSE.
I shoot PSE. I shoot PSE.
Experience PSE. Experience performance.
Throughout human history, one notorious killer has remained at the top and claimed more lives than any war or natural disaster combined. Mosquitoes. It's time to arm yourself and protect your family this season. with Scent Blocker's new Bug Blocker for insects. Lasting up to 8 hours, Bug Blocker not only repels biting mosquitoes that can carry the West Nile virus, but other biting insects, including chiggers, biting flies, gnats, and ticks which can carry Lyme disease. Field tested by outfitters and guides from Alaska to Alabama and everywhere in between. The results are in, and Bug Blocker flat out works. In a high-potency sportsman strength dosage, using 25% no-nonsense DEET, plus 2 specific ingredients to target biting flies, Bug Blocker plays for keeps. For ultimate protection, pair Bug Blocker insects with Bug Blocker ticks.
Welcome back, everybody. Last segment of the show, and we're sitting in the cabin in the middle of the day, doing things a little differently.
How we're working this weekend, like we talked about in the beginning of the show.
Hope you enjoyed the interview.
Yes, what a good interview.
It was.
I thought it was well done. Something, it's interesting that it's urgency to get it done this year because of the moratorium that's going to happen, and they can't do anything until 2020.
Right.
So everything he's done up until now, they're hoping something happens
right
that they want, but if they don't, then it's like they got to wait 3 years.
Right. Well, I tell you what, we got to get to that the banquet or the night out they're holding.
Right. Absolutely, because it sounds like a great night out there for the Let 'Em Go, Let 'Em Grow. Their second annual
event.
Going
to have some great speakers.
Yep. So stay tuned on that. But yeah, it's getting to be about that time. That has to happen by June.
Mm-hmm.
But if we get to June, our turkey season's over.
Yeah, turkey season's over, but you know what? There's things you can do out there, unless you live in the state of Illinois. I read a great article today.
Uh-oh.
I posted on the Facebook page, and I don't think you went and checked it out.
I just saw a little headline there before we went on live.
All right.
Just so I knew you posted it this morning.
Yeah.
So what's this great article?
Well, evidently on public waters in the state of Illinois, streams, rivers, whatever, what have you. Here in Michigan, if you got a boat that's got a motor on it, you have to have it registered.
Yes.
And when you register it, you get your little sticker and you put it on the side of the boat, and you're able to, get out there legally and do whatever you need to do on the water, whether it's fishing or boating or skiing, what have you.
Correct.
If it doesn't have a motor, like, a canoe or a kayak or a paddle boat or anything of that nature, it doesn't need to be registered in the state of Michigan. You're just floating.
You're just floating, no motorized?
It's not a motor vehicle,
okay.
Not a motor vehicle, so to speak. In the state of Illinois, they have proposed to start registering those vehicles to get a $6 permit to be able to use the water in the state of Illinois.
Okay, so kind of like if I have a tube?
You got an inner tube, you have to register it. I don't know where you're going to put the stickers onto that, but you have to register it. If you've got a kayak, if you've got a canoe, paddle boat, anything you can basically float down the river on, you have to register. And you have to wear a life jacket as well.
Well, yeah, you should wear a life jacket.
You should, but I understand.
Safety.
I understand people they're going rafting or floating down a river.
Yep.
Doing nice. We see it here in Michigan. A lot of these lakes and or rivers, I should say, and streams, people they jump in an inner tube.
They tie them together. And they just float on down.
They'll tie a cooler to it and float it down.
Big floats down the Asable. They got the yearly float down Lake St. Clair.
Sure.
Which can be hazardous. So they're going to charge people, everybody that basically floats, $6.
Yeah, and you have to wear a life jacket, and you can be charged with OWI, or in Michigan we call it OWIL, basically operating while intoxicated.
Yes.
Or operating under the influence, as we call it here in Michigan.
So basically you're operating a tube
while liquored up.
Yeah.
So
even though you're just floating.
What I want to know, what if you get in the river with a life jacket on and float? Do you have to register yourself?
There is a really, really big gray area
or
in this.
Let's say like one of the pool floaties that you lay on.
Raft. You lay out, the long one, like you can lay your whole body
out. Do you have
out.
to register that?
Well, according to what you just told me,
what if you got youngsters with you and they got the swimmies on? And they put
water wings.
Water wings. Do they have to register those?
You got to put a sticker on each one.
You know,
where does it end?
That's my question.
This is, I think, where the gray area now officially arrives, because if you tell me, we'll pick a tube which is round like a donut.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's say you gotta get that registered. You have a like the lounge chair type.
Yeah.
You have to register that, right? Okay. So
according to the law, the way the article was written, and this is from a TV station. It wasn't just like just somebody ranting. I mean, it was from it was an official story that was put out.
So what if you get a tire inner tube from a semi?
Inner tube, yeah.
And that's black. That's not a color that's not put out by a company. That's put out by a tire company. But but according to that, you're gonna have to. My theory is here you have to register, so you get a sticker you have to slap on it.
I don't know. That's the part I didn't understand. But the point was, it's a water use permit. So in other words, the way it's worded is to use the water.
So
to use the water, public waterways. Now,
can this be? Do you think this could be done like here in Michigan, the license plate tab? You put in for your park sticker, pay $10.
I don't know.
But this could. Okay, so is this a good idea or is this a bad idea?
I think it's a bad idea. My 2 cents worth. Okay.
I think that you know what. To tell you the truth, I think about it. I'm seeing a money grab here.
It's a money grab. That's all it is. I believe. I mean, I haven't dug into the story, real deep, but think about, okay, when we pay for our hunting license, we're taking something from the land. We're taking game, okay?
Right.
You get a firewood cutting permit.
$20.
You're taking from the land. You're taking something physically from the land.
Right, and you've paid your $20 to go do the legwork to go get it.
To go get it,
which actually helps out the forest because you're removing things.
Now, you take it in the other direction, there are state campgrounds, but wilderness campgrounds, rustic primitive campgrounds here in Michigan, there's a few. I think you have to have a campground permit. You have a camping permit.
You when you show up
to use that site.
There's a board there. You log in.
Yeah,
log in or fill out the tag.
Log in.
Yeah, log in. You fill out the tag and you go ahead and but you do register.
Yeah. So,
and I think there might be a money box there.
That's a use fee,
right?
Not because you're taking something, because you're doing something on the land. So is that the same thing?
So now here you are, got your inner tube, jump in the river, jump in it, and float.
Yeah.
And you got to pay $6.
Yeah, to register that item for the year.
What if you have two, one in each arm?
I guess you got to register two.
I'm kind of.
Yeah, dude, I'm telling you, it's a slippery slope here.
It's a slippery. Well, okay, so it's a slippery slope as for the money grab and that, but I also think it's a slippery slope as what could down the road happen.
Mm-hmm. You and I talked about this today. We've talked about it before. Once you start charging use fees for whatever, you're not taking from the land. You're participating on the land. You're walking, hiking, biking. You're not taking anything from the land. At that point, when somebody pays for something, they have in their mind a right to petition,
it gives them
a voice, a claim. Hey, I need you to cut all the trees out of that river that's falling across it because I'm tubing down that and I want it cleared.
So, if you go to the way you posted it, and there was a comment on there that says, "Well, I have to pay to hunt, so why not make them pay?" All right, here's my rebuttal to that question. You're out there hunting, and all of a sudden now the person that now has a voice wants, I'm not trying to get on anybody's case or anything, but I'll just say the bird watcher.
Yep.
That doesn't have to pay anything right now.
Right.
All of a sudden sees a sect of land that he likes to bird watch in.
Yep. I don't want anybody shooting.
But I don't want those people coming in and hunting that area.
Then he petitions to have that land closed to hunting.
And he gets enough people around the area that says, "Oh yeah, you're right. I only see bird blah 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 in this area. We don't want this people hunting and pushing them around. We want to look at our birds."
Right.
So now all of a sudden you've now closed that off because you got enough people to petition through.
Yeah. Once you get money involved in paying in use fees and things of that nature, then it almost gives somebody in their mind the inalienable right to be able to complain and petition and do something.
I think, like you said, it's a slippery slope that it can go very bad. Mm-hmm. It might not go anywhere at all,
right?
But the bad part of this, it could open up a can of worms to that effect. You're now okay. Let's go now. Take the floaters. Mm-hmm. Now they're floating down a trout stream, and now all of a sudden they don't want to be floating down the trout stream and see people anglers fishing. Fly fishing. And, oh man, their hook almost got my inner tube or whatever.
Yeah, right.
I don't want them on there anymore.
Yeah.
Plus, we've seen a whole bunch of trees in the water that create structure for fish.
We want them cut out because we can't get through.
We want them cleaned out. We want I want to be able to put my tube in and just float without no fishermen and no obstructions going down the river.
Right.
You get enough people to sign they'll close from X to Z, and you won't be able to fish in there because now it's a certified public floating
waterway
flotilla land.
Yeah, I agree. It's a very slippery slope. But here's another issue that we haven't talked about that I worry about. You get, let's say, a young family who, maybe they don't have a lot of money. They're not able to get out, buy things to go camping or maybe buy things to be able to go hunting and fishing. That stuff costs money. And all they want to do is they want to get their young family out and they want to go and
like a Sunday drive, a Sunday float.
Yeah, a Sunday float. Get some inner tubes, get
a lunch, a picnic basket, throw it in a family of 4. Let's say, hey, let's get our picnic basket, throw that in another inner tube. That's 5.
Yeah.
And now you're telling me that
it's going to cost me $30.
$30 just to put it in the water.
Yeah.
Wait. And we better have 5 life jackets.
Need one for the cooler too?
Sorry. Yeah, 4 life jackets, which they should have anyways for those. But anyways, no, that's the whole point. Now they've got to spend $30 a year.
Yeah.
I'm going to say this is on a yearly basis.
Right.
To float.
Yeah. To me, it keeps people from out of the outdoors, so to speak.
It potentially very could. Well, hey, let's go. I don't have my. Hey, Mike, you can go, but I can't go because I don't have my flotation pass.
Here in Michigan, we've got the sticker you put on your vehicle. You get it with your license plate. It's on your little license plate tab. It's $11. People say, "Oh, I want to pay $11 to go to the state park." Well, you go twice. It costs you $6 a day to use these state parks, and that money goes back in to be able to keep the state parks running. It has nothing to do with state land or state waterways. It's just state parks and state boat ramps.
Exactly.
Okay. You can go to a bridge or overpass and jump in the water with a tube and cruise down the river, for no fee. But the point is, we're limiting access of cheap fun to be able to get out and do some things, and keeping people out of the outdoors. And I don't agree with it. I think it's a money grab issue.
I think it's a money grab, and
it's just a bad deal. I just think it's a bad deal.
Well, so then what are they going to do? Okay, so now you got to register all your flotational devices, whatever they might be.
Yeah, how you going to pull that off?
So then what's next? Restriction on size, restriction on how much air they take. What
I don't know.
That's almost a funny
regulation.
It's almost the really fact.
Yeah.
You're really going to charge me to put an inner tube and float down that I'm not even really technically controlling. And maybe that might be one of the things that they might try to do this, but then they're going to say, because you're not, because I'm sure lawyers are going to get involved if this goes anywhere. They're going to say, well, you are being steered by God, by Mother Nature, taking you wherever going down. And then that goes back to, if it has a motor, you have to.
Yep.
Okay, so it's like, okay.
Yes.
It's almost like sneezing while driving.
Right.
You have no control
of it. Right.
So if you're floating, you have no control of it. But yet, hey, pay $6.
Yeah.
My interesting would to see that and say, okay, so you now got, we'll just throw a number out there, $6 million from this. Mm-hmm. What are you doing with the money?
Well, where's the money going? That's the next thing. Is it going back into the outdoors?
It better be going into something that goes towards the outdoors or back to them, maybe adding launches or whatever. But I would hope it doesn't go into the general fund.
Yeah, no.
Because you know where all that money doesn't end up.
If you're charging for water right usage, it ought to go back into taking care of the lakes, rivers, and streams that are public waterways.
Right. Like
How about this? How about they take that $6 million, state of Illinois, and they get up there on the river and they stop the Asian carp from coming into the Great Lakes? That's what I'd like to see them do with it. There you go. There's my 2 cents worth.
That's a big 2 cents.
You want me to jump up on my soapbox?
the Asian carp are already in the water.
I know, but
it's one of those things. It's big business.
Yep.
But yet, just like go back to the zebra mussel, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Well, how did we get them here?
Yep. From shipping
and them entering the stop it.
Yep.
But.
Well, that's for another show, another time. I tell you what, we're running out of time here. We had a great week up at Cabela's.
We did.
Weekend, I should say. Good seminars today, good turnout today. A lot of great questions. And what's exciting is we got new hunters coming into the outdoors.
You know, matter of fact, Lincoln Rohn talks about this, about the declining number of hunters in the interview. And matter of fact, we had, for a beginner turkey session, we had 8 people that were going to be hunting for the first time this year.
And only 2 of them, well, one of them had hunted before, was taking somebody, and he was a younger guy, I'd say probably in his early 20s. We had 2 other youth, I'd say under 20, and the rest were people really from probably around our age and older.
Yeah.
Older people that are getting out for the first time, which to me is exciting too.
Absolutely. It wasn't just a young crowd, it was a mixed crowd. We had a mom there with her son checking it out to kind of get information about it, just so they knew. She didn't know if she was going to be going out, but it sounded like she might be, because it was going to be warm.
Yeah, there you go.
But no,
it always helps.
You know what? That's a good sign, getting people out.
Absolutely. So, but other than that, it's been cold here in Michigan this week. Looks like we might have more snow coming.
That's what I hear.
So spring's not quite here yet, but we're getting closer every day.
You know what? We're getting closer. We're what's today? Today's the 12th.
Yeah.
Oh, so
12.
we got 11 days.
Yeah. Oh, until officially spring. I'm talking about spring weather.
No, it's going to happen exactly when.
Okay. If you think so, that's fine.
It's Michigan.
All right. Well, listen, you know what? We're running out of time, and I'm running out of coffee. I got to go get another cup of coffee here. So make sure we got coffee next time, man.
Next week, I'll make sure you have coffee. Okay.
You started something now.
I know.
You have to keep up with it. So
I think a little bit of change is good for you.
Change is good. There's nothing wrong with change. I'm willing to change as long as it's for the better.
That's right.
All right. Well, you guys get out there and hit it hard this week. And remember, if you're out there in the woods and the water, shoot straight and be safe. We'll see you again next week. This episode was brought to you by PSC Archery,
Black Eagle Arrows,
Scent Blocker,
Killer Food Plots,
Cabela's,
Spot Shooters,
Antler Action,
Family Traditions Tree Stands,
Tom's Custom Turkey Calls,
and Badass Slingshots.
Thanks for listening, and join us again here next week. Until then, remember, as we always like to say, if you're out on the water or in the woods, shoot straight and be safe. Until next week on the Up North Journal.